Hi, it's me, Sunny Jordan. How are you today? I am so excited. Today is day number 17. Wow. Well, is it 17? Yeah. Day number 18. Please forgive me. I'm telling you, these days are starting to come quick and fast and in a hurry. So today is 18, and I am wanting to talk about your story. I shared with you briefly my story, but have you developed your signature story? Who are you? What makes you unique? That story. We talked about some of your qualities and characteristics on yesterday, and I hope that you had an opportunity to get that sheet of paper out and write those characteristics down, those things that qualities that people talk about that you have, and begin to own those and actually package yourself. Now it's time to share your story. Yes, it's time to share your story. Your signature story it can be in different formats. It can be a short version, a lengthy version. It can go from your childhood to your time when you went through puberty to the time where you are now more mature, or it can be simply your career path and how you got from point A to point B. There's different varieties of your signature story, but you have to have one because eventually people are going to want to know. Tell me about yourself. And you don't want to be like, oh, well, I grew up, blah, blah, da, 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 da. And you talk for like 10 hours and they still really don't know who you are. So that's why it's important for you to begin to create your story so that you can own it. So when you get in there, you're like, bam, 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 that's who I am. And people have embraced you, or at least they have gotten to know you a little bit better. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and tell you some steps on writing your signature story. The first step is to another list. It's work. It takes work. It takes work, people, in order to get to the next level. And if you're not willing to work, I'm going to tell you now, go ahead and go to sleep, because life requires you to work, improve, become better. And I simply like talking about myself once I found out who I was and embrace it, and I don't have to be anybody else. Just talk about yourself. Be you, girl, or man, or whoever's listening. Be you. So the first thing to do is write your list. What does your list need to have? It needs to have your significant events, accomplishments, successes, challenges that you've experienced in your life. The great thing about your story is your story. Nobody can tell you that it's not. Nobody can get upset. They just simply can listen, learn, and move on. But the greatest thing is that you'll never be wrong about your story. You just need to have one. And I believe everyone has a story. So the second thing you do is get ready to talk about it and tell your story. And how do you tell your story? From this list, you can begin to from the list that you have, you need to actually begin to write it down. So what would that look like? I apologize. What would that look like? Here's my example. I grew up in a single parent home. My mother, she was widowed. And my father, my paternal father, he oftentimes was not around. And because of that, I went and lived with my grandfather and my mother in Catawba, South Carolina, which is a little town outside of Rock Hill. During that time, my grandfather, he just loved me and he embraced me. He helped me to do all kinds of things, such as riding my bike. And he bought me I went from a tricycle to a bike in a matter of a year. He just really believed in me. And so therefore, whenever I fell off my bike, he encouraged me to get back up. So I learned very quickly on how to ride a bike. Now, because of my grandfather, I was able to see the world a little bit differently. That might be a little boring, I don't know, but that's one way to tell a story. Now, another way that you can tell a story is, look, I made over $60,000 in scholarships and grants at Winston-Salem State University. I was an out-of-state student. How did I do that? I did that by networking, communicating, meeting new people, and through self-discovery. That could be another component. Now, here's another story. While in corporate America at Bank of America, I went from teller to senior personal banker within a year. How did I do that? I did that by being persistent, persevering. I took control of the situation. I showed that I wanted to excel in my job. I made over 115% in sales each quarter. I was the top salesperson. I did have to overcome some challenges. There was at times where people who simply did not want to promote me, but they also had to look at what I brought to the table, and on and on and on. So you want to make sure that you have a variety of stories for every aspect of your life, because there's different audiences that's going to be listening to your story. You don't want to take your grandparents' story to the corporate office, and you don't want to take the corporate office to a place where you're trying to get personal connection with your audience, unless you're trying to help them to understand that they have to be motivated in order to get to the next level in their career. So this is why it's very important for you to begin to write your stories and own those stories and know those stories, so that you'll be prepared to share those stories with whomever you're speaking with. So that goes to the fourth or the third point here, which is to make it relevant. The next thing is to make sure you have a visual in your story. Paint the picture. Own it. So here's another example of painting a picture. While in high school, I oftentimes was not one of those students who could make great grades. In fact, you would often see me wearing a pair of glasses, looking smart, but feeling some kind of way inside. I didn't have a whole bunch of friends, but one thing I did have was my smile. I've always had this beautiful smile. I could light up a room. It didn't matter what I was going through. If I had my smile, people would see that. I remember one day coming into a classroom where there were people like, I'm frustrated, I'm mad, I'm upset. And I was like, why? You're here. Oh, well, maybe that's a dud story. But look, this is why it's so important to have your story be very descriptive. Have those words to describe what you're going to. Do me a favor, people. Share with me your story. Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to me, Sunny. I look forward to hearing from you. You can reach out to me at thesunnyjordan.com. That's my website. As well as you can tweet me, thesunnyjordan, or also follow me, Sunny Jordan, on Facebook. I look forward to hearing from you. But until then, shine bright.